Good afternoon, or good morning if you're joining us from the West. My name's Hope and I'm from the TrackSafe Foundation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our briefing session for Rail Are You OK 2026. Thank you all for taking the time out to participate today, hear from the fantastic speakers we have joining us for a chat. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're joining from, elders past, present and emerging, and I'm here in Canberra and pay my respects to the Ngunnawal people. Champions are an incredibly important part of Rail Are You OK and really continue to drive the impact of this initiative across the rail sector. This is our 12th Rail Are You OK this year. And as you know, we've had different themes and iterations over the years. Last year was around reminding people that you can ask, are you okay any day? And we're going to talk about this year's theme and the importance of that ongoing conversation and ongoing connection during today's session. I'd like to thank Emma Meldrum from Pacific National, who is also an Are You OK ambassador, and also Ray McDonnell from Queensland Rail, and both these guys are fantastic champions of Are You OK and have some great insights to share today. And I'd also like to welcome and hand over to Julianne Whitfield, who is our driving force in the Are You OK team. And at TrackSafe, we work really closely with Julie and the team to prepare resources, information, and just make sure you're all as well supported as you can be for April the 23rd, but also for the year ahead, which is what's really important, that we have this ongoing conversation and reminder to people about learning the skills to have a conversation. So I'll hand over to you, Julianne, who's going to take us through some of our theme and resource information and then have a chat with Emma and Ray. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hope, and thank you all for joining us today. It really comes around so quickly, Are You OK Rail Day, but as we know, that theme, Ask Are You OK Any Day, is very much what we're all about and keeping that front of mind. I'd also like to acknowledge the land on which we are meeting today. I'm in Sydney, I'm on Gadigal land, and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I acknowledge the diversity of First Nations peoples and cultures, their ongoing connection to country and the strength garnered through such connections. At Are You OK, it's our hope that an Are You OK conversation releases a spark to ignite someone's spirit and creates an exchange that shows that we are actually all much stronger together. I would also like to acknowledge anyone on the call today with lived experience, and please make sure you look after your individual self-care and well-being today. And if anything becomes too difficult for you, please take that time to check in on yourself. What we wanted to do is to just give you a little bit of an idea of the focus, what we're wanting to concentrate on this year, and the reasons behind that. I think sometimes understanding the why behind our resources and our themes and messaging really does help us be able to understand and share our messaging in better ways. So initially, and what we're looking at here is 4 different areas of focus. And a lot of this has come from you. This is feedback that we've received from leaders within rail, as well as our champions. We all understand and know the value of lived experience. So we are looking at, there will be some further resources and material coming because we're currently interviewing and bringing to life some of the stories of some of the champions within the rail organisations and those that are happy to share with us their lived experience. So again, it's also part of our rail conversation champions, those with lived experience who are happy to share their stories, not just on Rail Are You OK Day, but throughout the year. We're very much focusing on connection. This is what we're hearing. It's about being connected at all levels of an organisation. It's not just the champion's responsibility to be messaging or to be connecting with people. It's actually a whole organisational approach. And with that, we need the leaders very much involved. And it's about that confidence again. So what we're wanting to do is make sure our resources are talking to leaders, are talking to improve the confidence of leaders and to be able to improve that connection within the entire organisations. Because most of the larger organisations within rail, we've got the champions in each organisation. We've then got the CEO and the executive team who are keen. It's that middle supervisor managers that we're wanting to make sure that are really equipped to be able to have these difficult conversations. Because as you know, people get promoted and you become a supervisor, you become a manager because you have the skill set for that role. Then all of a sudden you're dealing with people and you're dealing with both their physical and their mental health. And that can be difficult conversations. So these are very much the four focuses for 2026 for us. And out of that, we've been able to create some messaging. We are still going to stay with "Are you okay?" Ask "Are you okay?" any day, because that really resonated especially in workplaces. So we've kept that theme, but what we're wanting to do is a little bit of secondary messaging, and some of our resources will be speaking to that. And it's around that connection keeps us on track. So it's looking at it from highlighting the importance of connection in the workplace, but not just around the 23rd of April. We want you to kickstart the year with April and with our Rail Are You OK? But then we want to continue that moving forward throughout the year. So it's about that increasing confidence for supervisors and managers within the workplace and giving them the tools that they're going to need to be able to continue to connect and keep us on track throughout the year. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. And again, thank you all very much for taking the time to be with us today. And a huge thank you to Emma and to Ray. I'm now just going to ask Emma if you would like to introduce yourself, your role, and tell us a little bit about why you're passionate about Are You OK? And how you've worked with us over the last few years.
Sure. Thank you for having me to start with. I am working from home today, but acknowledge that I'm on the land of the Awabakal people in Newcastle. And a shout out to my PACNAT family who have joined today as well. So I'm an injury management advisor with Pacific National, working across Port Waratah and Greater depots, but supporting our national footprint. So I work across injury management, a bit of HR, psychosocial risk, and a really strong focus on creating safer, healthier and supportive workplaces. So my experience spans those complex and safety critical environments, and I also lead injury management and wellbeing strategies alongside workers' comp processes and schemes like Comcare. I'm also a mental health first aid instructor and an Are You OK community ambassador. And a really big part of why I decided to do that and why I wanted to do that was losing someone really close to me to suicide, and really not wanting another family, friend, colleague to go through what we went through and to feel, I guess, how we felt. So my focus and passion is really on that early intervention, that practical support and that genuine collaboration, because I have seen just how much it makes a difference. Expanding on that, I'm also on the board of directors for Lake Macquarie and Newcastle suicide prevention, just because I am so passionate about it all, and bridging or helping organisations to bridge compliance with care. So we all know in a safety critical environment, we do have things we need to do. We have incident reports, we have compliance checks, we might have regulator notifications. So how do we bridge that compliance with care so that we're not taking away from the person's experience, and so that we are getting them that early intervention, and really making sure that our operational systems are working for our people, not just our policies. So I'm really looking forward to today's conversation and sharing with you all, and encourage you to ask as many questions as you like.
Thank you so much, Emma. I can't keep up with how many hats you're wearing. Every time I talk to you, there's another hat pulled out. But again, we truly acknowledge and thank you so much for your passion, and you represent our messaging so beautifully. I'd also like to welcome Ray to his first Are You OK webinar as a spokesperson. And Ray, would you also like to just introduce yourself and your role?
Yeah, thanks, Julianne, and thanks for having me today. It's a pretty tough one to follow there from Emma. Very inspirational. Thanks for sharing. I don't have as many hats as you do, but look, I work for Queensland Rail, look after drivers and guards in the city train space, which, as you'd imagine, we see trauma every day in the workplace. So I'm very passionate about supporting our employees through PTEs, and also, most of us here have been affected by suicide in some way or another, whether it is at the workplace or in your personal life. So yeah, I'm glad to be jumping on board the Are You OK team. I've just put in to be an ambassador, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, looking forward to support Rail Are You OK Day this year. Thanks, Julia.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ray. Again, welcome. So we're going to start this, and this is all about real and practical ideas, activities, suggestions that are working in rail environments. Because again, many of you here are all from different areas of rail. Some will be from different states. And so what we're wanting you to take away from today is some really practical ideas and thoughts around what's working, what's not working, what's not actually resonating. And I think this is having two experienced people from, again, various parts of the industry. It's really giving us that lived experience voice and what's practical. So I might start with you, Emma, if that's okay. From your experience, what helps Are You OK messaging really resonate with rail workers? Again, if we're looking at particularly those in operational and shift-based roles.
In my experience, especially across PACNA, what works for us is that genuine connection. So our workforce, our people leaders, they didn't come down in the last shower. They see, I guess, straight through anything that is not a genuine connection, anything that I guess is stigmatized or might be seen as tokenistic. So we really try to expand every year. What did we do well? What did we maybe not do so well? What could we improve upon? Were there some meaningful interactions and conversations? And basically just what avenue of communication works, because we have a national footprint. So we have a mixture of corporate shift workers. We have people that go out to barracks and might not even have phone reception on a train. So how do we make these connections? How do we maintain the connections, but also make sure we're not spinning too many plates at once? You don't want to be bombarding people across communication platforms either. So you really want to target your, I guess, your strategy. How are you going to reach as many people as you can? But also, I guess, some ownership there that you're also not going to meet everyone's expectations. You're not going to be able to please everyone. So just do your best, essentially. We try to really target those online platforms as well as the in-face interactions at each depot. So a barbecue always gets them in the door, but the conversations keep them there after the sausage sandwich is gone. So the year that you don't do a barbecue, you'll hear about it. So we mix it up. We do cupcakes, we do Subway catering. You don't have to go above and beyond. You don't have to make it from scratch at home in your kitchen, and make it simple. So one of our values at Pacific National is to make it simple, which is why we most often organise catering. No cleanup, less mess, but it allows you to just get the platters in on the table and focus on those conversations and focus on who's actually coming through the door to have a chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma. Some practical ideas there. Ray, can I ask you as well, what approaches are working best, and potentially what doesn't work, or what hasn't worked, what hasn't landed really well?
Yeah, thanks, Julianne. Look, for me, it's all about getting out into the workforce and getting around your staff as well, getting to know them individually and intimately. As we all know, we all look at KPIs and targets we must meet, but behind those KPIs are individuals. They're humans. and everyone's got a past, everyone's got a history. So I just really like to get involved in employees' lives and ride this wave with them. You know, most of them are shift workers, so it's definitely a wave. But yeah, it's and as Emma said, a barbecue always goes down very well, and we love having barbecues. Rail workers love a snag.
Can you share what, especially last year, I had the privilege of being with Queensland Rail for a couple of days. Can you just share some of the practical things, some of the ways and the ways that you approach different areas of the business and what that looked like in practical terms?
Yeah, so last Rail Are You OK Day, we got the whole business together, which was great. And we had a train with the Rail Are You OK imaging on the side, and we did a bit of a tour of the network, which was great. So we just got all stakeholders together and really had a great chat. And it was a really good day.
It was. I was privileged enough to go for a ride on the train, which was pretty awesome. And they had the executive team from Queensland Rail, right from the CEO, getting off at different stops along the network and handing out some little bags, which was such a lovely, and the frontline team really, really were excited. It was like, wow, you were coming to where we're at. So that was really good. Lots of great meetings and barbecues and that at the Rolling Stock, at Bowen Hills. So there's, again, I think, looking at the individuals and each team and going, what's going to work for you best is great, because often the front line, the people on the station masters, the guards, the train drivers and that, they kind of get forgotten in all of this. So I think it was really great the way you looked at a whole host of different ways in which you can connect. And then you've also got to look at the shift and people on the night shift or the late shift. They're feeling a little bit left out sometimes. So again, having those videos, utilizing our resources and videos can really make them feel part of the team. Emma, I just want to, again, as we've said, we're really concentrating on that supervisor managers level to be able to support. So the champions may come up with the ideas, but on the day, and more importantly, throughout the year, what are some of the things or a simple suggestion that you would give to supervisors or managers to be able to normalize this conversation, to be able to continue and connect with their team members throughout the year and not just on those particular days?
Yeah, sure. So anyone that knows me well will probably laugh. So maybe turn your camera off if you have it on. Don't overthink it. Easy to say coming from me, who overthinks everything. But don't overthink it. That's the way that you can build the most genuine connection, because as soon as you come across and you just say, look, you don't seem yourself, is everything all right? You might fumble, you might stumble over the words, but you've already told the person the main point, that you care enough to ask. Whether or not you get that done well, whether or not you fall flat, whether or not they tell you to bugger off, it signals to them that you have cared enough to ask the question. And also, in terms of normalizing that check-in, it could also be trying to be relatable. So if they tell you a situation they're going through, or they say something that is quite personal, it's also that validation. So even taking a minute to say, look, I really appreciate you sharing that with me, because that can be really tough to tell someone, or that can be really hard to talk about. So I really appreciate that you trust me. I haven't been through that myself, but what does that look like? What does that feel like? How often are you feeling that way? So kind of trying to gauge what's that like for them. What's the severity? Is it impacting them on a day-to-day basis, or is it that they're going through a particularly traumatic time and it's just impacting them maybe once a week, once a fortnight, but it's been happening now for 6 months and they've finally felt comfortable to talk to someone about it? So I think it's really trying to relate to the fact that if someone's come to us for a conversation and they're opening up to us, that is a lot of trust that they're putting in us. But don't let that deter you, and don't let that scare you off the conversation. just relate to it as best as you can. If it's something that you haven't experienced and that you haven't gone through yourself, feel free to say that. It will actually make them feel validated. It's not so much that they want to hear you say, oh, everyone goes through that, everyone's been through that. That can sometimes be unhelpful, but even hearing someone say, geez, mate, that sounds rough. Like, imagine how freeing that would be for you if you think you're the only one that's going through that, or if you are, I guess, beating yourself up for feeling that way, and just hearing someone validate and saying that sounds crap. So that could just make their day, and you haven't really done anything or said anything.
Great. Some great advice there, Emma. Thank you so much. But Ray, let's look at it practically again. It's a busy environment. As you mentioned, you've got KPIs, you've got roles, you've got responsibilities, you've got things you've got to do. The network is continuous. Particularly, how do you involve supervisors without actually giving them an extra load? Because again, they're going, I've got all these boxes to tick. How would you recommend to supervisors that they try and reach out to their team, or what sort of things can they do on a regular basis so that they're impacting and connecting with their team without it adding another layer to their already busy day?
Yeah, I think the the main, I suppose, theme there is the connection. We have supervisors on site 24/7, right across the board. So you get to know individuals. You get to know, some people are always happy, some people are always quiet. So you can notice the changes in people, and obviously there's prompts there to ask questions. But check-in for me, or connection for me, is the are you okay any day? So every day we check in. As a supervisor, it's very easy, for example, to walk from A to B by walking out of the meal room or out of the office so no one can see you, because then you won't get any extra work. But I think we need to connect and walk straight through the meal room. So I make a point of every time I'm going anywhere, I walk straight through the meal room so that people, your visibility, and you're able to, and people will talk when you continue to connect with them. Trust me, it happens very regularly as a supervisor, where people trust you, and because most of us have had lived experience. So we kind of know what's going on, whether that's a workplace issue or a home issue or a shift working issue. We've all had it, and we all know what everyone's going through. So yeah, keep an eye on changes in people is a big one for me. Yeah, look out for the cues.
And it's about putting it into, as you said, those daily practices, isn't it? Utilizing opportunities. If there is a team discussion, a team chat, it doesn't have to be long-winded. It can be these small interactions on a more regular basis that really can make the impact. But it is hard with a 24-hour operation with so many demands on you. And again, especially with some of the larger organisations, Queensland Rail, Metro, there's so much building going on, so many new things happening, so much expansion happening, so much pressure on everybody. How can supervisors and managers better support champions on a more regular basis, Emma?
I guess it's making the time for one, but making sure that they feel confident and capable. So what we do at Pacific National, we make sure that our network of volunteers in the business, we call them peer connect champions, because it's peers connecting with peers. And we make sure that they're not only confident and capable, but they're also trained in mental health first aid. So I guess one of the hats I wear is mental health first aid instructor. You don't have to have mental health first aid to have these conversations. You don't have to have any qualifications at all, as we've learnt from Are You OK over the years. I think that's what works the most beautifully. You don't have to even have gone through the experience to just say, are you all right? So some ways to incorporate it is make some regular check-ins, whether that's once a quarter, once a month. You might have a working group. We utilise within our business, again, national, lots of different footprint and mixture of corporate operations, train crew. We utilise Microsoft Teams. We've got a team channel, and any important updates go in there, any check-ins, any articles, any knowledge base that we want to share, and even some preparation. So getting ready for Rail Are You OK, start to brainstorm. They're the platforms we really use to make sure that people are able to get the information. Even if they're not immediately on shift, they will get the notification when they log in next, or they'll be able to check their Teams channel and see what they've missed and catch up on that. So it's really about what's going to work best for your team, and everyone's going to be different. So just have a think about what lands well with your teams. Is it face-to-face? Is it a quick email? I personally don't really like death by email. It can get lost in a trail. Then you've got somebody up in Copperbella replying all, and then everything that you've originally sent through kind of gets a bit lost in translation. So just whatever works best for your organisation, essentially. But we find that that digital platform, that Teams channel, really helps us to collaborate and to collate everything in a central area.
That's great. I mean, the hard thing is too, there's going to be some team members that all they've got is their phone. They don't sit down at a desk and have their laptop in front of them. So it's about utilising those touch points within your organisation and creating that continuous conversation as much as possible. Ray, can I come to you and ask, what would you say to a champion or to a supervisor or manager that's worried about saying the wrong thing, a little bit nervous about having these conversations? Maybe they're not used to having these conversations, and we admit they are difficult conversations to have. But what would you say to them if they're worried? What advice would you give them?
Look, difficult conversations are difficult. So, you know, don't be afraid to say the wrong thing, because what if you say nothing? I think that's the big thing, you know. Reach out if you need any guidance or support. We've got the Health Hub team at Queensland Rail that I lean on regularly for guidance and support. Yeah, all you've got to do is just try your best.
Can you share a little bit about that, the Health Hub, what that looks like for Queensland Rail, just to share it with some of the other organisations here?
Yeah, so the Health Hub, they manage the Healthy Mind Support Crew, which is our peer-to-peer support. In my area of operations, we're just going through an upgrade at the moment. So we're looking at streamlining and bettering our practices. So I'm working with the Health Hub team in doing that. So yeah, that peer-to-peer support network obviously is instrumental.
It is vital. You referred to it as well, Emma, that you have that within Pacific National and that as well. And again, we're not just talking about large organisations. There are smaller organisations within the TrackSafe Foundation that are members of TrackSafe Foundation that are part of the rail network and industry that maybe don't have the big finances or the ability to be able to put those on. But it's again, building your confidence to be able to have those conversations and then making it part of the everyday and how you can weave that into the culture of the business. And I'll throw this to either one of you, what are some practical, low effort ways that rail organisations can acknowledge Rail Are You OK Day without disrupting operations too much? What are some key things that have worked? Again, and you can be as specific as you want to be, but conscious of the fact that time off duty and away from it is difficult, but also how do you connect with those that are maybe potentially more remote or on the 24-hour shifts?
Yeah, I'll go. Sorry. I actually like disrupting operations. So I like to.
I love that about you, Ray.
I like to get the CEOs and the managers and senior managers and general managers out of the office. This is a great excuse, especially on Rail Are You OK Day. So yeah, I like to prioritise getting everyone out.
Anything to add, Em?
Oh, yeah. So, as no shock, Julian, I'm going to be a bit cheeky. So, first of all, why would checking in with your workforce disrupt your operations? It would promote it, it would sustain it, it would improve employee engagement. I could go on. But the other thing to that as well, if they aren't already, why aren't they part of your operations? So why aren't they part of your toolbox talks? Why aren't they part of your CAT notices? Why aren't they part of your day-to-day operations and your business as usual processes? So that's what we mean when we say don't overthink it, like make it simple. If you embed it into your existing BAU, then it just comes second nature, and the confidence comes with that too. So that's a really low cost way that you can do something. It could be a toolbox talk, and it might be a 15-20 minute check-in, a 15-minute toolbox talk. But on the other side of that, I guess leveraging my experience in the comp space, would you rather take 15 or 20 minutes to check in with your people, or would you rather get a workers' comp claim or a site claim and potentially the ramifications and the consequences to the individual for that as well? So not just impacting operations, but the impact to the person. So I would much rather take 15 or 20, check in with them, have a chat, and yeah, operations will still be there.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And thank you guys. Anyone who's putting some questions in the chat box, I think Hope is jumping on and doing all of that. One I can see there now that we'll refer to is the rail specific Are You OK merchandise. We're not actually doing anything specific around rail or with the rail logo on it. But again, the any day message is on all of our merchandise. So definitely jump on, as many of you already have done that. We've got an amazing lot of merchandise, but I might actually look at, go to some of the ways in which you can, and I'll jump to you guys to share with me as well anything that you think is easy and workable, but we want to give you active and practical ways in which you can engage with Are You OK? So I'll just share screen again. And that should come up now with your... So what we've done, some of the resources we've done, and again, this is through feedback that we've received from you guys at different times and with different surveys, but all of our champions, and we have, correct me if I'm wrong, nearly 300 champions, I think, Hope, across the rail network. Often it's your voice and that speaks the loudest. So we're wanting to kind of support you with that. So we've created some social tiles that you can utilize. You can download them on the website, and it's about you telling your story as to why you want to be a rail champion and sharing that with your network. So again, as always, the resources will be available on the TrackSafe website. Most of them have been uploaded as we speak, but there's more to come. So utilising those resources, seeing how you can best use them in the way your team communicates, be that social tiles, things on PDF, be that communications where you're sending it out on internal comms, looking and working with your comms people. I think that's really important to make sure that at every stage that's getting a touch. Organise your own Are You OK event. So we have the interactive guide, which all of these will be up by the end of the month. Again, it's not till the 23rd of April, but we're wanting you to get ahead of the pack. So the interactive guide literally takes you and steps you through how to create the event. It gives you some ideas, and again, Emma and Ray have shared some of the things that have worked for them. So we encourage you to plan ahead, talk to supervisors, talk to leaders, get the whole organisation on board. As both Emma and Ray have shared, it's not just up to the champions, it's up to all of us. We all have a role to play in continuing these conversations, but it starts with somebody. So if our champions can start having the conversation and then start planning these events and then ask for the support that they're going to need, and that's where supervisors and managers can get involved. Requesting an Are You OK community ambassador, we have had some already be requested, but again, many of you may or may not be familiar. A lot of our organisations, the rail organisations, have their own, what we call their own ambassador, rail ambassador. We call them rail conversation champions. And they have gone through some training regarding sharing their story and their message. As we've said, lived experience really has a big impact. If you're having somebody share the message, present to your team, and they have gone through some difficulties and have some lived experience of mental health or suicide, it really does resonate more. So not just our community ambassadors, but more importantly as well, rail ambassadors, so your rail conversation champions. So reach out to each other, your champions within your organisation, and see who you can utilise. The last couple of years we've done that, and it's been really, really successful. And again, a couple of our people that we're doing lived experience, Jamie and Aaron, they're actually been rail conversation champions and now are going to be lived experience, sharing their story with us as well. So there's so many opportunities for you if you're willing and wanting to share. Again, social media, lots and lots. We have so many social tiles, as well as the obviously I'm a rail champion because, but there are many others out there as well. So again, have a scroll through, look at what we've got and utilize it as much as you can. Share with others in your workplace. If you only have a few workplace champions and you're finding that maybe the load is falling on you a little too frequently, put it out there. Put some expressions of interest out there for anyone else who'd like to get on board and help you with that. That way, again, you're part of our network and we can give you ideas and assistance as we go along. And of course, as I mentioned before, merchandise. We do have quite a lot of merchandise. We're all stocked up. So get in early as much as you can. There is a code that you can use. It's Rail 2026. Rail Are You OK 2026, and that gives you a 10% discount. So reach out if you need any help with that, but certainly jump on and have a look. We have things like the big frames. These are really, really, each year, these are really, really successful to be able to have some, get some social media coverage from those. So please jump on, have a look at all of that, and I'll come back to you now. And Hope, I think you wanted to share a few more thoughts with everybody and make sure that we've just ticked all the boxes as far as any of the questions that were out there.
Thanks, Jules. Thank you, Emma and Ray. I think a good question in the chat, if maybe Emma, you could speak to it, and then Ray, your thoughts is you know, in a depot environment where you've got multiple shifts, you've got obviously people coming and going throughout the day. How can you sort of cater to those meaningful conversations rather than it being sort of a one-off and here's, you know, either a barbecue, which, you know, might not sort of, I guess, touch everyone on the shift, but also that it isn't tokenistic and that you are really trying to have that sort of genuine connection?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually stagger it generally over the week, really, because we do have operational considerations too. So not discounting that operations happen, but sometimes there are critical things that need to be responded to. So if it does happen on the day, something that was planned might have to take a back seat. So we actually leave decorations up days to a week. We kind of try to think across that time. What do you do if it's a barbecue one day? A couple of days later, you might have some cupcakes or some little nibblies. One thing that resonated really well at our greeter depot here in the Hunter Valley, one year we did what we call a self-care wall. So you can, I got those off the website, off the Are You OK website, and we cut out little bits of paper and everybody wrote on them something that they do to practice their own self-care. So something that is just for them. It might not work for everyone, but it was pretty interesting. You can imagine some blue collar workforce there, some of the responses and some of the ideas. So whatever works for you, you do you, boo. But we did have a few between surfing, swimming, playing with the kids. Somebody lovingly said that divorce was their self-care. So whatever does work for you, but that allowed us to stagger that as well, not just over the week, but over the shifts. So people could pop it up as they came to work. If they thought of one as they were signing off shift, they could pop it up on the wall with some blue tack. So that was a really low cost, easy way, and everyone had a good laugh, and it actually started some really good conversations.
Yeah, love that. And we do have some resources there on the website, which is share a note and that concept, which I think also creates this opportunity for people on different shifts to still have a connection. So someone they might not be seeing face to face, but you see a note or a message on the wall from them, and it sparks something. Ray, did you have any thoughts on I guess those touch points and in a really busy environment or in a depot, how you're sort of going to be able to connect with as many people as you can?
Yeah, thanks, Hope. Look, the merch is really good, and also the stuff on the website, posters, etc. We got posters out at all depots, just asking the question, "Are you okay?" Stuff like that. Barbecues, we have a morning one and an afternoon one to cater for the whole lot. But train crew for Queensland Rail, we've got about 1,500 employees. So unfortunately, you're not going to get around to everyone. So we try and get some of that merch out to the out depots and posters, etc. as well. So we just try and reach as many people as we can.
I think also with those posters, something that's a really practical reminder is having the ALEC steps. So the ask, listen, encourage action, check in, because reminding people that are you okay is about learning those skills, and it's about the caregiver and the person, upskilling to be able to have that conversation and to know what to do if someone's not okay. So I think even the simple thing of having that poster up where someone might be having their meal and, just it's a reminder of those 4 steps is really quite critical. Were there any other questions that you wanted to sort of jump on in the chat? I'm just conscious of the time. We've kind of scheduled about 45 minutes.
I think again, Hope, as you said, it's about, don't put the posters up one day a year and take them down again. It's about that continuous messaging all year round. All of our resources now are evergreen. So we've removed the Rail Day, Are You Okay Day. It's all about Rail, Are You Okay? So all of our posters, everything, all our social tiles, everything can be utilised throughout the year. And I think that's really, really important to be able to remember that and keep that consistency going.
Yeah, and also that reminder of sort of connection within your own workplace. So making sure, your comms teams, your marketing teams, that other parts of the business or organisation are aware of, what resources are there and how you'd like to feed that into the planner for the year and what's coming up. And that's another thing we have on the resources list is that planner, suggestions from us, but then also a blank planner where you can actually slot some things in that might work for your workplace. Finally, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up, and I'll circulate this in the coming week. We will host a webinar just before Rail, Are You Okay? It's going to be on the 8th of April. It's part of our wellbeing webinar series that we do each quarter that are free, and we'd love as many people from the rail workforce to join. This year, we're focusing that session on the importance of connection. And, it does tie into, our theme and our sub-themes this year for Rail, Are You Okay? We'd love you to join us live. If you can't join us live, we also just thought a recording of that could be something you might want to share during Rail, Are You Okay Day or throughout the month and indeed the year for other staff to sit in on that session. So the importance of connection and how that can improve job satisfaction. So that's something coming up on the 8th of April. We'll also let you know of our quarterly wellbeing webinar series for the rest of the year. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today, in particular, Julie Ann for leading our discussion, and Ray and Emma, your insights and your experience. We really do appreciate it. And please reach out to me at TrackSafe. You've got my email. Feel free to give me a buzz if there's anything we can do to help support your work. And we appreciate your support. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.